Hey friends, Dixie back. So just kind of in the home stretch before tribal council. It's been interesting discussion today. Initially I was a little bit more inclined to get rid of Laura, and then I thought, maybe we should keep Laura because Laura's really been hustling. Um, Thinking about it further, though, I think it's for me, I'm swinging back toward keeping Leah out of the two non majority options on the tribe, seeming non majority options for our tribal council. Um, Doomslayer pushed back a bit on Lara being the boot. I think she's definitely been cultivating a relationship there with him. Um, I think what it comes down to for me is Banjo and Celestia are both more inclined to keep Leah. And while I talk with Laura way more than I talk with Leah so far, I just don't think that Laura is going to be reliable long term. So Laura came clean about kind of the lockout procedure. At least I think she is being fairly straightforward with what it entails. Once you get locked out on the board, you apparently are given access to a second board. It's basically open communication with everybody else there, and there's a public idol available, which has allegedly already been snagged by Geralt. Um, Other individuals there include apparently Zero has made it there. Apparently Spyro has made it there. Lara, of course, has made it there now. Daisy, Geralt, and Quilava are all there. Sully allegedly was there, and was pretty open with everyone about the fact that he was pretty sure that he was going home at the last tribal council, which is interesting if Spyro was also there for that. I'm wondering how much Spyro is relaying back to the other members of Kaled. Um, and I'm wondering if Quilava gave Spyro the news or if Spyro gave Quilava the news. Initially, I think just because I'm more familiar with Jay, I just kind of assumed that Spyro made it in and Jamie got the password, or not the password, but got word of what was waiting to Quilava. I guess one thing I'm kind of interested in is if you can discover the board and have access to it without busting, or if all these people have already posted 42 times. Um, this is a little bit of a complication because Lara being in this space with people cross tribally kind of begs the question of what is she telling them exactly? Um, if I were them, I'd be interested to know what the hell went down to our 4-3 vote. So she's already, friendly with Zero from our season. So I could definitely see there being, some open communication, kind of alluding to, if not the specifics, at least where the numbers fell in the vote. Um, you know, I get paranoid, of course. We've established this. I definitely get paranoid about kind of what if and what could happen at this vote that could make it go wrong. I feel about as comfortable as a person like me that tends to think that way can feel, but inevitably my mind goes to, well, what if Laura actually has the second board idol and is going to idol me out? Um, or what if, like, we don't really know the mechanics? What if Girl can transfer it? Um, Ultimately, I think that would be pretty stupid of him to waste that idol in round 4 on someone that he theoretically would have just met a few days ago. I guess it depends kind of there's a certain danger, I think, in them having any sort of coordinated strategic conversation on that board because it's eventually going to become accessible to most of us. I'm assuming we can see everything that's been said. Otherwise, I don't know how Laura would have discovered who was holding the public idol. So, yeah, I think that Leah's actually going to vote for Laura. I'm not sure if Laura will vote for Leah. I think that Doomslayer wants to tell Laura the truth. I'm sort of the mind that we might as well. I I don't see any point in really lying. I think that there's a very de minimis chance that we could see any, prizes popping out. So I think we'll end up telling her probably within the last hour or so. But what can you do? It's a bummer, I have such complicated feelings about Miss Croft. I think she's a really wily player. She's somebody that definitely kept me on my toes in Battle Royale 3. She, I think, made an interesting decision to supposedly, buckle down, double down on the fact that she didn't have the idol when, she's basically said she knew that I knew that she had the idol the minute that I started postulating on the fact that, it had to have gone once the fifth clue was uncovered, just because the odds seem ridiculous that anybody could find it with only 4 clues. And I think she says she didn't tell anybody. I'm guessing she didn't. I don't know why she would have wasted it if she told Banjo or anybody else, really, because I think for Banjo's positioning overall, it actually was probably not the best thing that she burned her idol. It locks him in with Doom, Celestia, and me a little bit more and gives him a little bit less leeway to potentially save Laura and Leah. I think that Banjo does have a vested interest in Leah, but I feel okay about it because I think that he also has a vested interest in Celestia and I. I do feel bad for Doomslayer. I feel like he's kind of getting the short end of the stick if this goes through. I do think Laura would have probably been a good number for him. That said, I don't think she would have been somebody that I would have wanted to wind up on a swap to tribe. And that's kind of, I think, the mind frame that we're going into to this vote with. Interestingly enough, Liam hasn't recommended that we all be around tonight. So who's to say? I guess another possibility is that we have more time on these tribes, which would be absolutely insane, but we'll just have to see. Yeah. I guess foreseeable, theoretically, there will be 24 people after this vote. So if that ends up happening, we could end up doing individual immunity and having a quadruple boot, which would be insane, but would kind of align with shifting to two tribes of 10 at the final 20. So I think it's still pretty likely that we're gonna switch it up tonight, but as they say, expect the unexpected. I feel bad for Kaled going back. I really had kind of been pulling for them to get the W. Not really sure who they'll end up axing. But we'll just have to see. Same with Limgrave. In summation, I'm going to do my standard tier list. And I've kind of got a treat, I'd like to say. I think it's kind of a fun concept that I've queued up for today. So since we're expecting a swap, I've put all 27 remaining players in this little tier list maker. And I'm just going to go through them and kind of assess how I feel about the prospect of swapping with them. So my categories are stay with me slash come on over, baby. Then there's I'd be happy to see ya. There's okay, which, is kind of like, well, we'll see what happens. And then please no and absolutely not. Looking back, perhaps please no is a little bit too similar to absolutely not. But I think the difference here for me is that please no, it's like I'm not looking forward to it, but maybe there's a chance. And then absolutely not is like, ugh, I would be miserable to see you on my tribe. So my girl Aerith slash Drew, it's funny because Banjo, oh, my good Judies are ABC, Aerith, Banjo, and Celestia. I was talking to Banjo, who has an org friend that he's hosting right now. We were just all talking about meetups because Celestia just got back from a fairly big meetup in New York with a bunch of Void server folks, and just how fun they are. And funnily enough, Aerith is the one person that I've in this cast that I've gone out of my way to meet several times because they're very important to me in my life as a friend. So that said, I would love for Aerith to be on my swap tribe. Aerith can be pretty cerebral, so it'll be interesting to see. She's also super busy, so I don't know how dialed in she is. I mean, I'd love to see her. I think I've mentioned in the past, I'm kind of the constant yapper kind of person that wants to be on all the time. And I feel like Aerith's at a place where she has healthier boundaries than I do when it comes to checking her phone. So I could see myself driving her insane. It's happened before, but nonetheless, that's my sister, and I'd love to see her. Banjo, definitely also stay with me. We've built a great connection here. I think he's somebody that really came through for Celestia and I, and I think that it's a long-term option for both of us. So I would love to swap with Banjo. I think Banjo potentially has some connections with individuals that maybe I don't, so maybe that can be beneficial to both of us. Insofar as, we can kind of play the field and kind of be a central kind of duo in a way. Celeste, I think we know where this is going. Stay with me / come on over. Conquer, that the Limgrave tribe is giving frat house, so I'm a little bit unsure about Conquer and his cohorts. I'm gonna put him in okay because I feel like we'll vibe fine. I feel like we'll be able to get along in DMs, but I'm expecting he's built something pretty solid already. I know he's close to Leah, who, as I said, is probably going to be the one to stay between herself and Lara. So depending on the rest of the people with me, it would be interesting to be with Conquer, to say the least. Crash is somebody I still don't really know, so I'm going to also put him in okay. Daisy. I think I'd be happy to see Daisy. I'm a little bit concerned about some of the tribe structure on Altus Plateau, just because I know that Iron Mouse is going to be really on, just socially speaking. She's a very, I don't want to say overbearing personality, but she's just a very extroverted personality. So she's going to monopolize a lot of the vibe on that tribe. And I also think that Urbose is going to be glued to her hip because there's a bit of an outside connection. They know each other, as Lara Croft would say. And so I just worry, I guess, about a trifecta of like Urbosa, Iron Mouse, and Daisy, and kind of the attitude that maybe they're fostering. Daisy's a smart player. She's done a lot to integrate herself with Celestia and myself and Ochette and I guess Spyro, Aerith to a lesser extent, all of the people that are going to be associated pretty heavily with the Void server. And so if there was somebody that was trying to rally troops against us, Daisy would kind of be the one that would know where the bodies are buried. Um, because I'm pretty sure we've definitely made fun of Urbosa, like to Daisy on call. Like, just Urbosa the person, not Urbosa the character. Just, Josh M is just a lot, you know? So, um, I think just in talking to Daisy, even just about my season, I've regaled her with stories. She's been taking notes. She knows the history. So it'll be interesting. I'd like to see her though, because I definitely want to work with Rory. And at this point, she and I and Ochette are the only winners left. So I think it behooves her, even if she has kind of any sort of reservations about friend groups. I think it behooves her to work with me and with the Ochette. So hopefully there would be no real kind of launching of an army against me in particular, even if there are some eyes on certain well-connected friend groups. I think it's also one of those things where there's a lot of connections beyond that too. It's not like we're the only game in town. TSL knows, TSL, who's Leah, knows Sailor Iron Mouse very well. They've known each other for a long time. Leah, just in general, knows a lot of people. Um, there's a lot of people with ties to OpenID games in this cast, including Steve and others. I think a lot of these folks have played OpenID games, so it's going to be interesting. I know there's the Stranded connection between Zag and Conquer, so they're going to naturally, I think, be a tight alliance. So yeah, all of that is to say that, I think that it's a bit failing to see the forest through the trees if somebody's going to hone in on any one click, so to speak. Dry Bones is another that I would be super happy to see. We got to reconnect briefly at the beginning of the game. I hope he's doing well. I've missed our chats. We were really close in season 3 to the point that everybody basically left me out of his blind side, in spite of the fact that people that were in his alliance were brought in over me. Like his own purported final 2 was brought in to get him to waste his idol on her so that they could blindside him, but they wouldn't bring in me. So we definitely have a kinship. Drybones is an incredible social player. Very dialed in when he wants to be. I think that's been a through line with my commentary on him. DK is a bit of an enigma to me, but I really don't want to deal with the chaos. I don't know what secret sauce Liam uses to build his casts, but he finds some very chaotic individuals. Doomslayer is somebody that definitely I would want to stay with or be swapped with. I do feel bad that he's kind of seemingly getting the kind of short end of the stick with respect to the outcome. I think that Lara's really glommed onto him. He ended up, using his copy pasta Melina strategy, and it paid off, in a way that I think it was intended to pay off, because a lot of people have been using their Melina posts as a result, I think in anticipation of a swap. So he posted his copy pasta, and then Lara posted his copy pasta. So he got her to do that when he's been trying to get Celeste and Banjo and I to do it too. So I know there's definitely a budding friendship there between them. And so I do feel bad. At the same time, I do think that he might underestimate Lara a bit. I think that Lara is ultimately going to be looking out for herself I think she can be loyal, but at the end of the day, I think she's going to look out for herself. And I mean, it's Survivor. Why wouldn't you? But I just don't know that she's the ace in the hole that he thinks she is. I think she's identified him as somebody that she can tug at as maybe an effective advocate for her in the current situation. Evie is another person I'd be so happy to see. Verging on stay with me / come on over. But, I feel like Evie's been with this big undefeated starting tribe for the duration. So I just don't know what relationship she's cultivating. But I'd love to see her. Girl has an idol, and I've never met him, so I don't want to have to deal with that headache. Hamtaro, I think William's probably fine, but I'm going to say please no. Carrie's still an absolutely not. She kind of got into it in the tribal council thread channel on Discord with Doom, and I feel like maybe there's a little bit of just sour grapes over the whole just challenge situation, because I think Caleb felt targeted by us based on whatever strategy Doomslayer was employing. So Carrie would be somebody that I really could pass on. Laura is probably going home, but I still think that she's going to be a please no, because on the off chance that she does stay and I'm still here, I don't feel as though she would necessarily have my back. I think I've mentioned it earlier, but I just think that she is in a corner doing whatever she can to survive, and I don't think she's going to feel any sort of loyalty or like a fact that she owes us anything. And I don't necessarily think that that's I don't blame her. I would be doing the same thing. I have done the same thing in games before, where I've been backed up against a wall and basically promised somebody the world to be able to get to the next stage of the game. I don't know. I think she is generally a pragmatic player, but I just can't take chances. I think especially after how she played last round, I think it's better for her not to be with me in a swap situation. Leah, I'm a little bit warmer about. I think that it's a situation where I think it would depend on who we swapped with. But I think that it's salvageable, the relationship between Leah and I. Nate, I'm also going to say okay. We had kind of a decent check-in at the beginning of the game. I don't know him, but the fact that he reached out and was generally warm toward me was good. I'm going into Ochette withdrawal, so I'm kind of hoping that we would swap together, but who can be so lucky? We'll have to find out, but I feel bad for the girl. I know she's going through it at her third tribal now in however many rounds. I think they've been to tribal first round, the second round, and then the first round, the third round, and now this fourth round. So I'm pulling for. I don't know what's going to happen on her tribe, but I hope she makes it. Quilava is going to be an okay. Like to see him as well. Iron Mouse is also going to be an okay. I think so much is contingent on who we wind up with, but I have a good working relationship with Ricky just based on our history. So a lot of any swap is going to come down to the individual personalities in the group and how they interact. But I think generally speaking, Iron Mouse is a workable option. Sindel, don't really know anything about Sindel, so I'm going to say please no. Steve, I'll say okay. Spyro, I'm going to be stay with me, come on over. I'm really excited at the prospect of just doing a tea session with either of Spyro or Ochette or both. So I would love to see them in a swap. Symmetra, I don't know what it is about Sindel and Symmetra, but I just have them as kind of interchangeable in my mind, and they're not really doing a lot for me, so I'm going to put them in the please no category. Do absolutely not for Bosa, for just, I think, general reasons of they're just a lot to handle. Similar to Laura, I just would not trust anything that came out of their mouth in a swap. I think Zag would be a fun person to swap with, but he's pretty unpredictable. So we'll put him in okay. And then Zero is a tough one, but I'm going to also put him in okay. I think he tends to lock in with the folks that he spends his time with in the beginning. And it's been 4 rounds of him with his tribe of 8 people. And so I think he's probably going to be locked in with the Conquerors and the Zags of the world. Nav has been an incredible ally to me in certain situations, but one thing I really respect about Nav is that I think he can really compartmentalize in a way that few others can. I think Celestia is another person that's really good at compartmentalizing individual experiences, but he doesn't really take a lot of the history from game to game. So my last org, Nav was pretty much my number one ally. Nav and Ochette and Cooking Mama, we were a type 4, but I don't expect him to feel like he owes me anything if I swap onto a tribe with him and I'm in a bad spot. I'd work like hell to integrate myself in that situation and use anything that I could, but yeah, I think that the cards have been dealt as they've been dealt, and it's kind of like, playing a new hand of poker for Nav. So we'll see what happens, and then I'm going to end up staying with myself no matter what happens, but I'm going to put myself first. So yeah, this is kind of just my update. There's about 90 minutes left to go before the deadline, so we'll see what happens. I hope I'm still here. Preliminary guess on who we're about to lose. I'm going to say that we're going to lose Crash, Sindel, and Laura. So stay tuned to see what happens. All right, Dixie out.